So I have really bright sunlight shining on me right now. My name is Courtney Hawks, and I am the reviewer here at Glamour Puss Hair. And today, I'd like to just take a moment to, let's get to know your reviewer. Why should you listen to me? You don't know me. So let's take a moment and get acquainted. I've lived in Charlotte, or the Charlotte area, for most of my life. I was born in Charlotte, and I have lived other places though. My freshman year of college, I went to school in Philadelphia, and when I was in my 20s, I did spend some time living in New York. It was a wonderful experience. I worked as a henna tattoo artist for the first company to offer henna tattooing as a service in the United States. And we worked out of many very cool locations in the city. We worked out of stores like Diesel and Makeup Forever, and we worked out of salons like Warren Tricomi. And through that, I was able to have so many great experiences. I was interviewed for the New York Times during Fashion Week. We worked so many events, Jive Records Christmas party that year, numerous television shows. I was on the Howard Stern show because I gave him his very first tattoo. It was a henna tattoo, but he did end up getting it permanently tattooed about a week or so later. And, subsequently, a decade or so down the line, he ended up getting it tattooed over, but it was turned into from a Capricorn symbol into a dragon. So it's still there. You can still see it. It's part of the design, but, he just expanded it. Anyway, so that was a great experience. That was so much fun. And since then, I've spent my life doing so many different things. I've worked retail. I was a postal carrier for one point in time. I have had my own business as a hair stylist and makeup artist. I did that. I've done that for over 20 years, and I was agency represented until I had kids, and then my focus became kids. So I actually focused on being a mom for, the first few years of their lives until they got into school. And once they were both in school, I went back into the workforce, and now they're grown. Pretty much. My son graduates next year. My daughter has already graduated, and I'm my current incarnation is as a teacher. I've now in my 8th year of teaching. I have taught art for middle schoolers and high schoolers for the past 7 years, and now I'm a first grade teacher. It's my first year as a first grade teacher, so I'm starting all over again, but I love it. It keeps it fresh, it keeps it new, and the kids are just, the experience that you get from the kids is what makes the job awesome. Absolutely. So I'm thrilled with that. So I do have a son. He's 16. He plays baritone saxophone. He goes to the High School for the Arts and Technology. He is training to work in auto collision repair. He will be getting his certification for that next year. And he's discovered his love of music big time at this school. He started in middle school, but high school really brought that out. And so we are looking at music schools for him, for college. And it's really been an amazing process to watch and see him grow. And my daughter also graduated from high school going through the trade programs, and she graduated with her cosmetology license and has been doing hair for a few years. But she has decided just recently that she wants to go back to school to become a medical lab tech. And that is so exciting because she's made this really big decision, and it's a really big life change. And I could not be more proud of her for deciding relatively early on that she needed to do what she wanted to make her happy, and that, she was looking ahead and not just looking at now. So I could not be more proud of obviously I'm biased, but my amazing and beautiful children. They are the best. My husband teaches culinary arts. He started teaching 5 years ago, and he is just insanely decorated. He has gotten Teacher of the Year this year and last year, and he's been recognized as Teacher of the Year by his state and all of these different organizations. And we traveled to Las Vegas because he was Teacher of the Year for representing his state, and he went, and they had this big celebration and professional development for all of these other culinary arts teachers around the country. It was really quite something. And he has most recently written 2 textbooks. So he's on fire. He's just totally on fire. He'll tell you that his inspiration was me getting into teaching, and I love that to bits. And I was Teacher of the Year at my school in 2020, 2021, 2020, 2021. I can't talk for a minute, excuse me. But, you know, I mean, his level is different from mine. His work ethic is very different from mine. He is the most driven person I've ever met. And, you know, I enjoy my work, but I really do like my home life balance. So it's a little bit, our perspectives are different. But, you know, he's going for it and he's just killing them. And I could not be more proud of him either. My hair loss journey. So where did that begin? Well, you know, I was that kid who played with their hair in their teens and their 20s. And I was a natural redhead. My birth hair was red. And it was that bright copper red, sort of like this, maybe a little bit brighter. And, you know, of course, when you have it, you're not happy with it, right? And it was curly. And so, you know, for a long time when I was very young, my mom kept my hair short because it was just easier to deal with than trying to make it, you know, it was big waves and not quite enough to be curly and not quite, you know, enough to be straight. And it was just a mess. So as I got older, you know, I wanted to play with it. And, you know, the last thing I wanted to be was a redhead. I was ridiculed for most of my childhood, you know. I mean, it was strawberry shortcake. I'd rather be dead than red in the head, and freckles, and it was so much. It was just a lot for a kid. And so, you know, I wanted different. And once I got to the high school age, I started doing things that were different. And as I got older, you know, I mean, I'd circle back around to the red, but then I'd, you know, do chunky, silly highlights or whatever. I mean, my parents would never let me bleach it and do crazy colors like I wanted to, but, you know, I would do other things. And once I was in my 20s, my hairstylist, who I had been seeing for quite some time, and I discussed going blonde. And what I did not know at the time is that red is the hardest color, if you're a natural redhead, to get out of your hair. So trying to go blonde is really just not a good idea or a realistic expectation. And we sat together one day in her salon, and it must have been, I think, 5 processes by the time we were done to get me blonde, and not Tweety Bird yellow, but blonde. And the worst part was, of course, my hair was fried. So I got home that night and I'm in the shower and I'm deep conditioning, just praying and hoping that something would get better. And my hair is breaking off, just being pinched between my fingers with no fingernails. And I had chemical burns on my scalp, and it was just really bad. It was really bad. And so in my mind, my hair loss started then, because I could see there was one little patch up towards where my part was at the front that just seemed to be a little thinner. At that time, at that age, I never looked at the back of my head, so I have no idea what was going on there. You know, I mean, I was never with the mirror checking out to see, how's my hair on top looking? How's the crown looking? So I don't know. But I know that recently we were looking at videos of my daughter when she was very young, and we were at Disney and I was in the pool, and there I am, I'm in my late 20s, and you see the back of my head and I can see it. It was thin. It was thin then. And, you know, I'm guessing my husband, loving me, didn't see it, you know, and I didn't see it because I wasn't looking at the back of my head. But back here at my crown, it was just thin. It was all thin. And that kind of hurt to see because I didn't realize, you know, I just didn't realize it. And, you know, it hit me once I started teaching, of course, kids, right? More kids, noticing things, telling you things, and having no filter. And so, you know, I can remember first couple of days in, hang on one minute, my cat's doing something. First few days into teaching, you know, I'm at the board and I'm writing on the board, and I can hear one of those kids say, "Oh, she's bald. She's going bald. Do you see that? Oh my gosh, look at her." And it was middle school, and middle schoolers are brutal. I don't recommend it, you know, but I really, that hurt so much, because at the time I was morbidly obese as well. So morbidly obese, thinning hair, it was a lot to take in. And so after that, I can remember I went and stocked up on Topic keratin fibers, and I spent the rest of my days just powdering my hair and covering up as best I could what the hair loss that I had. At some point, it did just get to the point where I was doing too much. It was taking too long. And I'd say, a few years after that, 2 or 3 years after that, I got my first hairpiece. And so I think we'll continue that one on in another video. I don't want to go on too long and really bore you. So we'll do that in another video. And just as a preview, this is one of my super old Raquel Welch wigs that I had from back when I was a makeup artist full-time, and I was doing hair and makeup for photographers and working with models. And this one's called Intrigue. It's in one of their beautiful, beautiful red shades that I totally love that Raquel Welch does. Excuse me. I have not been able to find a stock photo of this one because it's so old. I mean, like I said, I'm talking like 15, 20 years old. So, I'll keep looking and see what I can find. But anyway, stay tuned. I'll have another part 2 up soon. And I appreciate you watching. Thank you so much for listening to me drone on about myself. That's not something that I'm very comfortable doing. And yeah, so have a great one. I'll see you soon.